This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Speaking of Georgia Tech, this is Wretched Radio. Not too far from us, a loverly institution. I believe it's the number 2 technology university in the country. It's a good school. It's a lovely campus, and wow, does it cost a lot to go to that school. Talking to a friend about Georgia Tech, an individual who used to work there, describing budgets and that the strings are pretty tight there when it comes to spending money. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. My understanding is it costs like $40,000, $50,000 a year for a full-time, I believe that includes campus living, to go to that school, which isn't all that uncommon these days. I just saw a headline someplace saying, get ready for 6 figures. What? When it comes to education for a year. And I thought, what is going on? How can school be so expensive, budget so tight? And so I decided to do a little sleuthing. Went online. You can Google pretty much anything these days. And I Googled the salaries of Georgia Tech. Are you sitting down? I'm not going to give the individuals' names because that wouldn't be cool. But just to let you know where the money is going at universities and maybe helping us understand why 70% of kids at university want to vote socialist. Man, Scylla. The president makes $1.1 million, consuming part of the $1.6 billion budget at Georgia Tech. A coach, I don't know what he coaches, $750,000.
Probably football.
Provost, $689,000. The chief athletics administrator, $679,000. Wait a second. I thought that the mindset at university campuses was that it should all be equal. Not at all. The dean, $549K. A professor makes $516,380.98. That does not include book deals and other side businesses that he or she may be involved in. A professor, $516,000. The chief research officer, $490,000. Another coach, $481,000. The chief business finance administrator, whatever that is, $469,000. A professor, $424,000. Another prof, $407,000. Another prof, $397,000. A coach, $390,000. A professor, $380,000. Associate professor, $375,000. Chief development and advancement. I think that's the fancy term for he's the one who encourages people to give their money so that he can make $374,261 a year. Man. Coach, $372,000. Dean, $370,000. Professor, $370,000. Coach, $369,000. Another professor, $350,000. Another prof, $346,000, $346,000, $342,000, $338,000, $333,000. Associate prof, $332,000, $866 and 66 pennies. A prof, $330,000. Another prof, $327,000. The vice president, he needs a new manager. $319,000. Prof, $315,000, $311,000, $310,000, $309,000, $307,000, $306,000, $305,000, $156. That's page 1 of like 27 pages. No, I don't have a head cold. I'm smelling the irony that these are the same professors who will teach kids that capitalism is terrible, and yet they're making a fortune as the kids rack up debt. Then they hear somebody like Bernie or one of the other socialists talking about, we'll wipe out your debt. Sounds like a good plan to me. Who is it that is setting these prices? Well, who owns Georgia Tech? Last time I checked, it's built into their name, Georgia. Who sets the prices? The government. Who gives out the loans? Not private anymore. The government. And the kids are graduating with massive debt set by the government, who then teaches them that capitalism is bad, and therefore, to get their debt wiped out that the government created, they would like to encourage your kids to vote socialist. P.U. Mike Rowe is a fellow who's famous for odd jobs, dirty jobs.
Dirty jobs.
Dirty jobs, stuff that other people don't want to do. And once again, raising the question, not begging the question, raising the question, what is a dirty job? I mean, it could be just a term that you use for a job that gets you dirty. You know, you work with your hands. You work with the dirt, oil, what have you. Well, that could be why it's called a dirty job. Or is it called a dirty job because, well, that's just the stuff that, well, some of us just don't want to do. Now, I am not suggesting for a moment that a student shouldn't further education. That's not the point. Go ahead. We become educated because God is educated. That is the Christian's primary motivation for becoming smarter. It's not to make more money. It's so that we can be more like God. Should money trail along, so be it. But we get educated because God is educated. He's the source of everything. And so to be like him, we study. That's why the Christian hits the books. So go ahead, get an education, get your master's, your whatever. That's not the point of it. But let's be careful that we don't join the chorus of the world that says, that's the clean job, that's the better job. Ooh, on dirty jobs. And so Mike Rowe, he's touring around. I think he's got himself a book, talking to Stuart Varney on Fox Business, that we're not teaching shop classes anymore. We have unintendedly maligned an entire section of our workforce by promoting one form of education at the expense of all of the other forms. Ain't that the truth? Should somebody get a college education? Sure, if they want to. And I wouldn't say, you're going to do that and rack up debt. Not saying that. But at the same time, we need to stop looking down on jobs that are considered dirty. Who writes that rule? Who determines what is a quality job or, oh, you're a get your hands dirty kind of worker? That's the world. The Bible would actually indicate the opposite, that working with your hands, creating something, that's a blessing. The Bible doesn't tell us that somebody who unplugs toilets, God doesn't see it that way at all. That is a message from the world that makes people feel bad because they don't have the glitzy job. What is a glitzy job? Who tells us these things? It's not Scripture. It's society, and we need to shut out those voices. Mike Rowe, the skills gap today is a result of the removal of shop class and the repeated message that the best path for most people happens to be the most expensive path. Again, I'm not going to swing into a ditch and try to shame anybody who goes to Georgia Tech or anywhere else. But let's stop shaming, especially in the church, people who don't. That decision needs to be made by the individual, parents, pastors, but not the world. We currently have a $1.6 trillion student loan debt with 7.3 million open positions for laborers, people who go to tech school, electricians and plumbers and HVAC people. And those don't require a 4-year degree. And there is honor in those things. The world has a different set of standards. Christians, we shouldn't. Mom and Dad, what do you do with this in your home? It's up to you. But please note, if you've got, let's just say, a son who loves working with his hands, just saying, doesn't have to get the 4-year degree. There's honor in doing those types of jobs. And by the way, they're paying quite well these days. I don't know if you've seen what you can make as an electrician. You can do quite well, thank you very much. And these roles are needed, are they not? Seriously, do we need more people in some of these glitzy industries creating more whatever it is that they do? Let me tell you, when your toilet is backed up, you need a plumber. We need plumbers. We need laborers. We need stuff built. We need people who can put bricks on top of one another in a straight way where they stay in place and the buildings don't collapse on our heads. So let's not join the world in their messages. Find the balance. Whatever the kids' gifting is, go in that direction as you see fit. Racking up that massive debt, hoofda, you need to make that decision. But let us not shame people who have what the world claims are dirty jobs, because they are not dirty to God, and they shouldn't be to us. This is Wretched Radio.
Behold a world without Wretched. Please become a gospel partner